And still with us, Mr. Harley Lippman, foreign policy expert. Thank you very much for your patience, Mr. Lippman. In this program, well, Trump has been changing his stance often on this topic. What's the game plan now as you see it? Pressure on Ukraine, pressure on Russia, on both, on neither?
Well, the hope is that President Trump recognizes that the only way you're going to get a ceasefire or any kind of peace between Russia and Ukraine is to use leverage against Putin. Putin only respects power. I can't emphasize that in stronger terms. President Trump thought he could charm Putin, perhaps offer tremendous economic incentives. And I give Trump a lot of credit for effort because you want to start with the high road and try to start on a peaceful plan and on a positive avenue. However, it shows it doesn't work. This man will only be persuaded if he looks and sees that he's losing. Trump even said it. He had a phone call with Putin, and Putin said, "Why should I accept the ceasefire? I'm winning." So it's very clear that Putin has to be losing. And the way he would be losing is for the United States to get weapons to Ukraine like Tomahawk missiles that could go deep into Russia and attack their infrastructure, their oil refineries, their ammunition depots. That would make Russia pause and realize that the price of the war with Ukraine is too high.
So, it is not just about Ukraine. It's about Europe. It's about the West, if you will. And every move made or not made has greater impact here. So what is Trump trying to achieve here when we're talking about a greater context of, again, relations with Europe?
Trump thinks that Ukraine should make concessions and that Putin really wants peace. I think he misreads Putin. Trump apparently has urged Zelensky to give up the Donbass area. But Zelensky is adamant that this is part of Ukraine. He will not give it up. And the European allies are supporting Ukraine on this. So Trump thinks that Russia has a strong bargaining hand because they have a lot of territory. And what this is really about is might can't be right. I think all of Europe is threatened by Russia. Putin has made it very clear that for him, the biggest catastrophe of the last century was not even World War II, where Russia lost over 20 million, perhaps 30 million people. The biggest calamity of the last century was Russia losing a part of its empire, and he wants it back. He has made this very clear in speeches. So he will stop at nothing to get it back. He's starting with Ukraine. He's made threats to other nations that are NATO nations. And we know in NATO, an attack on one is an attack on all. So there could be a World War III here, which is why it's essential that Ukraine survive as an independent nation and Russia effectively loses. Otherwise, you will have a global conflict in Europe.
But Mr. Lippman, on the one hand, when you eat the first course, sometimes it only gets your appetite going and you look for more. And sometimes you say, well, you know what, I'm full, it's enough. How the attention span, the amount of energy the US is willing to invest in other people, so to speak, troubles. Does it have a limit, or is it limitless with Trump eyeing the 2026 Nobel Peace Prize, perhaps?
I think it's limitless to a large degree. And Trump
limitless appetite. I can relate to that.
He's very ambitious. He has big goals. He has caused peace and ended conflicts in 7 or 8 regions of the world. It's quite remarkable. He has an unusual style. He thinks out of the box. He's creative. He makes some mistakes, but overall, as we saw in Gaza, he got the hostages back. I don't believe anybody else could have done that. So there is a method to the madness, as some people would say. He is going to stay with this because he knows the other big area of conflict that could bring the world to a world war is Europe. Moreover, if you create some kind of peace between Russia and Ukraine, that could help the United States focus on
right.
its number one adversary, which is China.
China. Yeah.
And this is why I think it's really important that the United States stands by Ukraine. Because if the United States is seen as throwing Ukraine under the bus, America's allies in Europe, like Japan, Vietnam, Philippines, Australia,
Yeah.
they will have second thoughts whether they will stand with the United States against China.
In time of need, yeah.
Because-
Asia
Right,
is
no-
watching. Asia is watching. And once again, the everlasting question of whether it's men who make history or history makes men. I think that this time around, it is clear that without Trump, at least in our neighborhood here, could not have happened. Mr. Harley Lippman, what a pleasure having you on. Thank you so very much for your time, your patience, and your insight on this broadcast. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you
Lippman.
for having me.